Teddy Feinberg, Brook Stockburger, Teddy and Brook show. Lots of news to talk about. Breaking news just happened. I mean, it's kind of been an evolving story, but Dwayne Walker officially is gone. It's confirmed by Aggie Athletics this morning. Head football coach, 4 years here, 10-40 record. Not entirely on him. I think we all know that. There's a lot of circumstances surrounding that record, but in any event, Aggie football is looking for their 34th coach in school history.
Yeah, they really are. Dwayne Walker. You know, they really had high hopes for this season. Maybe not a bowl game or anything, but you never know. But 1-11, that just killed them. 11-game losing streak, and I really think it took it out of Coach Walker. And you know, whether he was actively looking for a while, whether this opportunity propped up right away, we're not really sure. But he's jumping to the NFL. Anytime you can get a job in the NFL is a good thing. But it is kind of a weird feeling going from a head coach, you know, in Division I to an assistant, not even a coordinator, but an assistant with another team, even if it is an NFL team. So it's kind of a middle type of news.
Well, in a sense, it's kind of an indictment on the Aggie program.
Yeah, it kind of is. He's fleeing.
Well, here's the connection,
No doubt
obviously.
about that.
I think there was speculation that Walker might leave throughout the course of the year. Fourth year is critical for a head football coach. Obviously, he didn't really have a very positive experience here. I mean, am I going out on a limb saying
No, I don't think so.
He complained openly about certain things throughout his tenure, lack of support.
And lack of funding.
Gus Bradley's new lack of funding. Yeah, exactly. Gus Bradley is the new Jaguar head coach. Pete Carroll's defensive coordinator in Seattle.
Yeah.
Dwayne Walker's real tight with Pete Carroll. I think Carroll knew Dwayne almost had a nervous breakdown. That's a joke. The last couple of years, Dwayne just had a very hard time here, honestly. And I think the connection can be made there. It should be pointed out, our esteemed colleague Steve Ramiro has just pointed to us that Dwayne Walker's the first Aggie coach since Warren Woodson to not get fired. Warren Woodson retired in the late 60s.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, somebody like Tony Samuel, you know, he didn't have his contract renewed, which is the same thing, basically. Yeah, it's a shame. Coach Walker's a good guy, and this didn't work out. The marriage between him and MSU, like a lot of coaches in the past, it didn't work out.
You covered Aggie football. Obviously, I've covered it. You covered it, you know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah,
but I mean, you had experience doing it. You understand the fabric of that program. What does Aggie football need? I mean, in my expert analysis, I just call myself an expert. That was not to sound arrogant. In my analysis, I think Aggie football needs someone who really thinks outside the box, and I really think perhaps they could use just new leadership in general. That's a conversation for another time. What does Aggie football really need in this particular situation?
You need someone who, and this might sound like a cliche, but who's dedicated. Maybe someone who's not necessarily looking at this as a stepping stone. You know, you can't go into people's brains what they're thinking of when they come here. But obviously, this is the kind of job where if you win, you're going to go somewhere else probably. People haven't been winning here, though. That's the problem. But I think you have someone who's looking at this as a long-term project, maybe 10 years, and really sets up the recruiting angles and the recruiting, you know, system going to California, going to Texas, going into the South. Is someone who really has connections with the bigger programs, and you can get players who are maybe they're not going to go to LSU, maybe they're a little too small, you know, maybe they're not going to go to Nebraska, go to Cal or something, but then, hey, why don't you go to New Mexico State, push them down here a little bit, and you need that because you need to recruit depth.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think the way Aggie football is structured right now they can win. I think Coach Walker's a good coach. I think his history shows that. Now, definitely a rookie coach, and I think he showed his inexperience at times. That does not mean I don't think he could have gotten the job done here. I think a lot of his complaints and arguments about lack of support were valid. I think you can win football here at New Mexico State, but I think it has to be treated first and foremost like a real D1 football program. With that being said, I do think I want New Mexico State to have trendsetters, not trend followers, and I think that's the #1 job. They have to find someone who really thinks outside the box. Now, how Mummy did, maybe to a fault, but I think they need someone who really thinks outside that box and does things differently. Again, I want trendsetters, not trend followers. That's what I want.
Speaking of victories, we have New Mexico State basketball winning 7 straight, beating a good Denver team, knocking them off, who was on a 7-game winning streak themselves. And, you know, they're second place in the WAC right now. They do this. You know, they struggle a little bit at the beginning, and then the WAC season comes, and then they get on a hot streak.
I think it's obvious what's made Aggie basketball better. Their defense has been fantastic. You know what? In fairness to them, their defense the last 2 years has been great. It was great last year. It's great again this year. When you can put a lineup out there with guys like Daniel Mullings, Sim Bular, Bonjasi, Ronaldo Dixon, Terrell DeRune can get after it, freshman from Las Cruces. Maybe he's a sophomore now. He got hurt last year in his freshman year. Bottom line, defense is their calling card. Won 53-42 last night against Denver. That's the bottom line. Half-court offense is still very ordinary, but that team can get after it. Folks, we've probably taken a little too long. Obviously, there's some big news we wanted to focus on, but thanks for tuning in as always. Check us out, Sun News Facebook, Sun News Twitter, lcsun-news.com all day, every day.